calling it now. Inline skating is the new cycling. What the heck am I talking about here? I am talking about cross training for runners. There has been a lot of chatter in the running world, at least for me in the trail running world specifically. Seems to me like a lot of runners, elite athletes are picking up cycling as far as cross training and as part of their regular training. But I am here to tell you that inline skating is much more effective. But I do have to mention a little bit of bias, perhaps a lot. Way before I started trail running, way before I started road running, my first love, my first sport was, or I should say sports, anything on wheels. I've been on wheels ever since I could remember. Every kid, seemed like back in the days in the 90s, used to have a roller skating birthday party. Rollerblades were just coming out. It was way more popular back then than it is now. Me and my brother got going on the Rinks speed skating team, and that was essentially our primary sport from childhood into adulthood. We started racing on quads, as they were called, regular roller skates, ones with the 2x2 wheels, traditional style. I don't know what you want to call it. Rollerblades weren't around, but as we progressed through the sport, inlines came onto the scene. It's very revolutionary at the time, and we just dug it. We raced indoors at rinks on 100-meter track, something like what you see in ice short track. Probably seen that in the Olympics mainly. Towards the end of my skating career, so to speak, we did do quite a bit of road racing. But again, the sport was all new. Inlines were all new. Rollerblades, I guess more people are familiar with. The inline aspect, as opposed to the four-wheel quads, really allowed you to get out on the roads, handle those bumps and rough surfaces, obviously a lot better than traditional quads. All right, so that was ancient history. So why am I talking about it now? Because I'm injured and I want to do as much fun, low impact cross training as possible. Cycling is of course primary and most popular in that regard, but with my background in skating and racing, pretty good at it. So I figured, and I always thought that this could be very effective cross training and perhaps regular training for trail running or running in general. Hit some smooth stuff here. Kind of see, cruising 18 miles an hour. Check out that heart rate. No impact. Look at that speed, look at that heart rate. Yeah, maybe I'd rather be up there. That's Lucky Peak across the way there. But this is where I'm at today. So what makes skating so effective as a cross training tool, in my opinion? Saw my heart rate there. I'm, let's say, 161 now. Kind of cruising a little. I got up to mid 160s, about 17, 18 miles an hour. But zero impact, smoothness. I am just cruising along here, zero impact. I'm gonna turn here. Am I headed? Okay, let's go this way. When I say zero, I mean zero. No bobbing up and down. No impact on the joints. Maybe some force on my femur, but I'm supposed to stay away from impact. So hopefully this is all right. The whole point of cross training for runners is reducing impact, of course. You want to perhaps build up your aerobic system, your aerobic capacity, but perhaps the impact of running is the limiting factor, not your aerobic system, the muscular soreness, the impact on your joints. Perhaps that's what's holding you back, not your will to go further, or not the capacity of your heart and lungs to go further. And that is why runners often turn to cycling, especially with more and more runners seemingly getting injured as the intensity of competition just goes up and up. Another reason this is an effective cross-training tool is that I'm in a more upright posture. I could be doing this if I want to go super fast. Back in my racing days, we'd be in the full tuck here, aerodynamic position as much as possible. These days, I'm not trying to skate fast. I'm trying to get the fitness aerobic aspects towards running. So I am intentionally, gotta watch the roads of course, be safe out there. I'm intentionally skating here in a more upright posture than I ever did back in my racing days. Ooh, the smooth stuff right here. Oh, it's gonna be so sweet. Oh yeah. So yeah, the upright posture that I am adopting here, as far as cross training is concerned, I think that's helping me, and it's more effective as far as running, because obviously I'm not hunched over and running. There's not really an aerodynamic aspect standing up here while I'm skating. There's side to side motion. There is a rotational aspect to the torso. Again, when I was skating back in the day, we didn't have all the scientific data. It wasn't very advanced back in the 90s. No internet, all that stuff. So I'm not sure if ideally you're supposed to be limiting the rotational aspect of your spine, but as I'm here in a more upright position, you definitely feel it's a rotational aspect to the spine, the lower back, which I am feeling because I'm not doing this all the time, by the way, so I do have to be careful as far as ramping up and doing this too fast. In my mind, I feel like I've done this my whole life, I can go forever, but perhaps not the case. But that rotational aspect in the torso, counter rotation, is a big part of running form. And I feel like the twisting here, as I'm kind of striding left and right, hold that thought. Got a little downhill here, also fun. So the counter rotational aspect, as I'm striding side to side here, my torso is naturally twisting in what I believe is a similar way to running. I'm certainly feeling it more in my low back in a kind of fatiguing way. Again, not an impact kind of way. I am pretty sure that this kind of twisting motion as I'm skating upright, that has to be beneficial, especially for trail running. Some of the most fit athletes in the world, what sport do they do? Highest VO2 max, probably across the board. Aside from cyclists, we're talking about Nordic skiing. Klæbo, is that guy's name? How many golds did he win at the Olympics? What do they do in the summer when there's no snow? They're out there on roller skis training. If that is effective for them, probably the fittest and highest VO2 max athletes, generally speaking, within a sport, how could it not be effective for runners? There's certainly a different motion here. I'm pushing side to side as opposed to just that linear motion that probably makes cycling more applicable in terms of the plane of motion that you're operating in. Obviously, similar motion on the roller skis and Nordic skiing as to what I'm doing here, but that's not running. But who's to say that doing something a little bit different is not effective? Isn't that the whole point of cross training? So while you can say that cycling within that plane of forward motion, your legs kind of churning over linearly forward facing, same kind of way as if you're running, minus the impact of course. But what's different with cycling is you're sitting on a chair. You're sitting on the saddle there, which is supporting a lot of your weight. So I think that's critically different. If you're gonna say that's an effective way to cross train because your legs are kind of operating in the same plane, what about the aspect of skating? The rotational aspect, as I said, and the aspect of supporting your own weight out there. I'm kind of, as I said, not in a super critical aerodynamic position here. I'm kind of like in a half crouch here. I do want to kind of cut in the wind a little bit. If I'm standing too straight, it does feel awkward and maybe a little dangerous. In fact, at the speeds that I'm going, cruising around here today, maybe 16 to 18 miles an hour. Again, feels nice and smooth, but I want to have a little bit of a forward lean because it helps with my balance. It keeps my weight over my skates. If I'm kind of too far up, I might feel like I'm sitting back more, and if I hit a little bump, it could be dangerous as far as falling. I am wearing my gloves out here today just in case. Coming up on my turnaround point here. Didn't plan it out, just kind of feels like a good spot here. Check the stats here, 31 minutes, 8.5 miles. Let's see, 16.2 miles per hour average. What is that? That's not average heart rate. Not sure on that. 16 miles per hour average. If you watch my Cloud Ultra 3 versus Cloud Ultra Pro comparison video, came down through there and I was running right along that ridge. There's a couple people up there right now hiking around. Yeah, it's pretty steep. It looks pretty scary from here, but it's not too bad. Turned around now. This is actually my second skate of the day. I was out just before this with my daughter. Kind of a fun little adventure skate there. She had thought she had left one of her knee pads in the parking lot. So I was like, I'll go look for it. Let me do another skate on my own. Turns out we found it before I left the house, but I figured I was all geared up to go again. Let me just head out and do it. So I had a fun run earlier with her. Kind of a bit of a warm up, was goofing around, skating around backwards and stuff, scraping her off the ground. At times, she's a good skater though, she's learning, but gotta practice like anything. Skating is definitely a skill sport. So that is one caveat to everything that I've been talking about here. I think a lot of the effectiveness that I'm talking about is gonna depend on your skill level. You have to be kind of good at this to get the benefits. If you're new to skating, perhaps a little unsteady, there's probably a lot of danger involved, which could be the case as far as learning anything new. You don't want to fall down and injure yourself. But as far as the skill level is concerned, if you're not efficient at this, if you're not really able to get your aerobic system going, that is going to be different. Again, you're learning, you may be stumbling around. It's not going to be effective in the same way as it is for someone that really knows how to skate. So assuming that you are a skilled skater, inline skater that is, always something that struck me as strange as why were skateboarders skating and, you know, people on skates were rollerblading or blading or something. Always struck me as weird, but I don't know, maybe skateboarders are cooler. So assuming that you can skate or at least are interested in hearing what I think about this, checking my heart rate now, I am 160. I'm talking away here, cruising along. If I were running, 160 would be near the upper edge of my zone 2. Faster and more efficient athletes are going to have higher top ends of zone 2. So 160 will be moving towards the upper end of my zone 2. But that would be quite strenuous on the run. Doing a zone 2 run like that is definitely a targeted effort. You need a focused effort, and again, of course, the impact factor of that is going to be higher than whatever I'm doing right now, rolling around at the same heart rate. Compared to cycling, we have a Peloton at the house. I've been doing my rehab fitness upkeep on our indoor Peloton. And once I get in the 140s on a bike, I start sweating heavily. It's a lot of tension, muscle tension on the legs, which can be a good thing. I guess that's part of the effectiveness of it. But when you're cycling, it's definitely harder to get that heart rate up to the same way or the same zone as easily as I can when I'm skating. If I was out here skating at, say, 140 heart rate, which is kind of low-ish zone 2 for me, I would feel like I'm not doing anything. But again, it's that aspect of supporting your body weight, rotational aspects of this, swinging your arms a little bit. Of course, muscle tension on the legs, maybe not as complete as cycling, although I am not sure about that. I could feel it in my quads somewhat similarly, but there are different aspects to skating that are different than cycling. When I'm skating, I could definitely feel the hip flexors going, again, the low back with the rotation, and also the glutes. As I'm pushing out, again, if you know what you're doing and you have good form, what you want to be doing is putting full pressure, equal pressure across your skate blade, not just pushing off of the toe. As far as running, obviously, you're rolling through your running stride into your toe off. There's aspects of the Achilles there, and also calf musculature that's a really big part of that. Here, when you're skating, definitely want to push through the heel to get as much power as possible. And I could definitely feel that in my glutes. Definitely don't feel that same kind of sensation, that same kind of tension on the glutes and hip flexors, especially outer hip flexor muscles, as I do when I'm running. So honestly, I just think that makes it an awesome, hitting some rumble strips here, that just makes it an awesome cross-training activity. Because when you're cross-training, you do want to work different muscles, different aspects, probably in a supporting way, supporting muscles that are kind of smaller in the realm of the running motion, less contributing muscles. They're definitely more contributing here in the skating motion. In that regard, I think it's awesome. Again, the aerobic factor. If I skate at 150 heart rate for like an hour, for me, that is just super easy. I was really shocked because back in the day, this was the 90s, perhaps early adopters had heart rate monitors, things like that. We were just kids. We were just skating. Training theory was not a thing. Go hard all the time. I would go around the park by my house. You saw it in the perhaps Rad UFO video. And I would just skate no matter how long I was going, 30 minutes, an hour, 10 laps, 10 miles. No matter what I was doing, I would just try to go as hard as I could the whole time, which is like comical at this point, but that's how it was. Nobody knew anything back then. But my point is, hold on a sec. But my point is that I never wore a heart rate monitor while I was skating, ever. So I only put on the heart rate monitor for the first time in my life for skating probably last year or so. And I was honestly shocked at how high my heart rate was. I'm used to my running heart rate, say, I'm between like 130 is probably the edge of my zone 1 and zone 2. And then immediately I just start skating, not really like going hard at all. and I'm at 150, 160 right away. And I couldn't believe it. I had assumed that since it was easier and so much smoother to be on skates, that it would be easier, even easier than cycling. I didn't really grasp the fact of, or the difference of supporting your own body weight, kind of keeping tension in your core, your lower back, hips, glutes. It was just, I was really shocked. So if you look at it from that point of view, the ability to put high-end aerobic output out. What am I at right now? 155. Been talking a little bit, kind of fighting a headwind here too, filming obviously, but the ability to just skate continuously at 150 to 160, which again, that would be a high-end effort if I was running, something I would not be doing every day. I can do that here and feel totally fine, zero impact. I mean, soreness, muscularly speaking, of course, but as far as knees, bone impact probably, tendons, that kind of thing, there's obviously, not saying you can't get injured or have overuse type of injury skating the same way you do in running, but again, it is different. I'm not pounding the ground. I'm working with the ground, working with the pavement here. And of course, this is just super fun. I mean, I'm covering some ground out here, catching some scenery, talking away. Got my Ultraspire Mountain Racer waist belt on here. This is perfect for skating. Got the hose here on the magnetic clip. Oop, lost it there. Ideal for skating. These are rollerblade twisters, 110 wheels here. This is, I believe, more of a freestyle skate, perhaps a little bit of a fitness aspect to it. Big hard shell, super heavyweight. I was definitely racing in more serious kind of speed-based equipment, stuff that you see in the Winter Olympics or you just saw on short track, long track, carbon fiber boots, long blades, that kind of thing. But again, at this point, I'm not looking to skate super fast. I'm looking to build and cross-train myself with an eye towards trail running and running. Definitely skating into the wind now too. This lap, 14.2 miles per hour average on the way back. Still at 150 plus heart rate in an exposed part here, getting blasted. So I talked about skating compared to running, aerobically speaking, compared to biking. Again, it's totally different with your body weight supported on the seat there. If I'm in the 140s on the bike, heart rate wise, that's like kind of strenuous. I have to push and really have a lot of tension, and I'm like sweating like crazy, especially indoors at 140 heart rate. For me to get up to like 160 or something like that, I would really have to push hard on the bike. Here on skates, I can just kind of like up the tempo very slightly, a little bit more on the end of each push, get a little bit more focus, maybe swing the arms, and I can just skate at 160 heart rate and just keep it rolling.
How are you going?
I don't know, I did 13 so far.
I'm gonna cut up at the east end.
Okay. Catching a draft here,
Yeah, man.
making it easier. Skating is a team sport, by the way, especially back when I raced. Being in the pack, catching a draft, way easier.
Yeah.
But As far as me and my training aspect, probably better to be skating on my own. What's your name?
Dave?
Dave.
Yeah.
All right, Dave.
How about you?
Mike. Let me get a look at that thing.
Yeah.
Trek.
Yeah, it's like early 90s.
No suspension. I was talking about me skating back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And you got a bike from the early, and you were up on Lucky Peak in that thing?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, luckily, I mean, it took the chain ring, so I mean, going up was fine. You know,
Yeah.
down was,
Just a little bumpy.
oh my gosh.
Just caught a little draft there. Nice guy named Dave. And you go way faster like that. Reminded me of my days back in New York, New Jersey, skating loops in Central Park, massive freight trains of skaters and bikers skating with a bike ahead of you or in a pack, somebody breaking the wind. You could just like a freight train at way less energy. Not as effective for the training that I'm trying to do, but you're trying to go fast. Gotta be in the pack. Let's crank it up a little bit here. Let's see where we're at. 160 heart rate pretty quickly. Speed is off the, oh, I'm looking at lap speed. Plus 17 here. 17 miles per hour, a little more. Whoop. Tight turn. Cooling off here, rolling back to the car. Didn't leave from my house. I didn't want to go through all the streets and bumpy sidewalks and crosswalks and all that stuff, so took a short ride down to the Greenbelt. Lucky to have this here as far as skating. A lot of it is smooth. Not all of it, but pretty good for skating. Let me know what you think of this video. Of course, down in the comments, are you an old-time inline skater or rollerblader from back in the day? Do you have fond memories of those days, as I do? If you do, perhaps maybe dust them off, or I would recommend getting some new equipment. These right here, not super high end, but with the 110 millimeter wheels, just crazy and super fun. So could be an effective tool. I'm gonna see how my recovery goes as far as my little stress reaction here. Didn't feel anything at all on this cross-training skate here. Probably in the upper 150s range for an hour, hour 15-ish right now. Ooh, bumpy pavement here. So solid aerobic work while having a stress reaction. That's a somewhat serious, or an injury you have to be careful with. So I'm able to get solid aerobic work in today. And again, didn't feel it at all. So let me know what you think down in the comments. See if I can work this in. I think I'm gonna try to do this now that it's spring, turning into summer, and have nice warm weather. I don't see any reason why I shouldn't be doing this at least a couple times a week. Getting that aerobic work in, lessening the impact, maybe on top of running once I get up to speed, or maybe just in place of some runs, in fact. Could work really well. Thank you for tuning in once again to Humble Running, or at least maybe Humble Skating for this round. I'll see you hopefully back out on the trails, or maybe some fun skating content if you are enjoying this.